I can't imagine Trump saying, "Hey, Rocket Man, don't be a schmuck." That can't be the opening line. It can't be. Very little comedy in the Asian Peninsula. I was in Vietnam. I went to Ho Chi Minh City, which is Saigon, and I wondered why they have this war museum with all of these tanks and planes, and they even have a crate that they used to put prisoners in so that you're crunched up and punished. And I said, how come you have all these American things here? And a guy at the Vietnam War Museum said, well, this is all left behind when you lost the war. I said, I didn't know we lost the war. What makes you say we lost the war? He said, well, it's not customary to leave a country after you fight them from the embassy roof, unless you're not welcome here anymore. Angelina Jolie's uncle is a great songwriter, and he wrote this Hole in the Sock, which is the Vietnam people left behind. He also wrote Angel of the Morning, and that was years earlier. Great songwriter. You know, those guys, John Voight is Angelina Jolie's father, and they all have different names. I have different names too for my daughter, and also my own name and their married name, and names change, you know, but they don't remain family anymore. Even if you have children out of wedlock, you name them according to your family tradition, probably. But I love the fact that our names mean so little now. And the church this week, they were studying Deuteronomy and Leviticus. I said, those are two names in the urban community, or a new coffee at Starbucks. I mean, that's what that would be. It's biblical, you know. At the bank, they want to know my mother's maiden name, and I said, Beyonce. They don't believe me. They throw me out of there. Hey, listen, let me tell you something. I went to NBC. They have a channel called Cozy, which is they rerun all these shows, like Murder, She Wrote is on 15 times a day. And a lot of these shows that are now passé, that's what they have. It's Universal. Universal owns Comcast, which owns NBC. And Universal Pictures produces a lot of these shows. That's why they're on the air on their station, or their cable station. And the reason is because they have a library of things that used to be on the networks. The networks could not have syndication, and now they can, but back then they didn't. And CBS would carry those shows on their own network if they own them. They don't. Universal does. So anyway, long story short, here I am going to NBC, and I want to get a show on the air there on the digital platforms. And you know, this is all old shows. They run reruns and old shows, and they tell me that they don't want to put me on the air there. Probably because I'm too old, you know. Can you imagine? The channel that runs the shows up for people over 50 and features all of those shows is turning me down. Come on. They have no sense of themselves in broadcasting. They don't realize that in order to get an audience to come to your channel, you have to have somebody on there that means something. For instance, A&E had Biography. They're reinstituting that, incidentally, right now because it worked. James Lipton with the Bravo channel, remember that? And the Gay Show. Also, ETV. What do they have on ETV? They had Howard Stern and the Red Carpet with Joan Rivers and Talk Stoop. So that made that channel. Comedy Channel was going nowhere until they put Jon Stewart on there. So you need to have a headliner. So I'm telling these guys, put my show on there like we did from Times Square, excuse me, in the NASDAQ building. My voice is going to get really scratchy as I get old. And I'll start sounding like Marv Albert, who used to be a disc jockey, incidentally, in Syracuse. He was on the air opposite me on the air. Oh, first up 5 in a row. Anyway, back to my story. So on the NBC platforms, they should put me on the air there. We should have this show that we're doing right here on television, on the air. Why? Because it's good, and I can do it. Take advantage of it. It's amazing. See, they don't want to change. That's why you have radio stations only answering phones and arguing about Trump. That's the whole radio business anymore, except for sports. And then we got the World Cup now. And so who do we have in the World Cup? Who's monitoring the soccer World Cup? Who is going to be carrying it? Canada, Mexico, and the U.S. Why, that's a NAFTA burger, which is bacon, Canadian bacon, on a taco with a little bit of bologna in the middle. That's us. All right, so anyway, that's it. I just wanted to report to the nation, because you don't understand the business. No one wants to let you in. Then you'll kill their game. And if you kill their game, listen, we should not be paying for cable because they have commercials on it, and the commercials pay for everything. And AT&T, you know what? We broke up this monopoly a long time ago. Now you're back remonopolizing again? Come on. I had a record that I recorded back then called Ma Bell, You Got Me by the Calls. And I think I'm going to have to put it out again. Let a smile be your umbrella, don't get a mouthful of rain.